Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Unveiling Islam. I'm David Wood here with Brother Rachid. Brother Rachid, we've got, I think, around 2.2, 2.3 billion Christians in the world. We have almost 2 billion Muslims in the world. So it's pretty important how these two groups view each other and interact. And Muhammad has said a lot of things about Christians during his time, and we find those things in the Quran. And what's interesting is the Quran speaks about Jews and Christians as the people of the book.
Yes.
And at least early on, Muhammad seemed to have a very favorable view of both Jews and Christians. In other words, early on in his early revelations, he seemed to view it as it's Muslims and Christians and Jews, and we're all together as the monotheists against the polytheists.
Yes.
And that didn't hold together. That view didn't hold together very long.
Well, that's a good explanation how Muhammad changed his view about Christians and Jews through his lifetime, or at least the 23 years. First, he thought, I'm going to talk about one God, talk about Moses, Jesus, and all these. They will be happy, they will follow me, and we will be all together against polytheists. Of course, his first helper was Waraqa, which was the cousin of Khadija, and he was supposedly a Christian. Another thing, when they had some persecution there, they fled to Ethiopia, or what we call Ethiopia, Habasha back in the days. And they went there and they had protection from Christians. So they thought, like, yeah, we are kind of the same boat. We believe in the same beliefs. We have some little differences, but they are on my side. When he moved to Medina, things changed. He was like, you are going to believe in me? No, we are not. I am a prophet. No, you are not. I am in your book. No, you are not. And then he started, oh, okay. Well, the angel Gabriel will take care of you guys. And then the verses started being nasty towards Christians and Jews.
And that is interesting that that the Quran's view of Jews and Christians changes based on Muhammad's feelings about Jews and Christians.
Yes.
So I understand. It's another situation where I understand it if this is coming from Muhammad. I don't understand it if it's coming from God. If
Allah is a projection of Muhammad in the Quran.
Yeah, almost like really bad, like almost on the level of like a sock puppet or something like that. Because if Muhammad, however he's feeling towards some group, the revelations come down to confirm that.
Yeah.
So early on, it's, hey, you know, all the monotheists are together. We're all friends. We're all buddies. And the Quran verses of that time, like in Surah 10, are even saying that the scriptures of the Jews and Christians are authoritative even over Muhammad. Yeah. In other words, when Allah says in Surah 10, Muhammad, if you have any doubts, this is an early revelation. If you have any doubts about the revelations you're receiving, go to the people of the book and make sure your revelations line up with theirs. That's how you confirm your revelations.
Even the first months in Medina, he was still kind to them because he was expecting them to join him in a war against his own tribe, which didn't happen. For example, Al-Baqarah, just when he moved to Medina, the Baqarah started coming, the chapter of the cow. 262, he says, indeed, those who believed and those who were Jews or Christians or Sabaeans before Prophet Muhammad, those among them, they add the addition into the translation. I'm going to skip the addition. Those who believed in Allah and the last day and did righteousness will have their reward with their Lord. Means like all will be good. Christians, Jews, Sabaeans, all these groups will be good. Later on, things changed, and then he started in Baqarah, because Baqarah just lasted for, well, we explained earlier that the Quran is not one shot, a chapter. It's so many times it's expended over periods. So a verse here, verse there, verse here, verse there. So Al-Baqarah, even the same chapter, 120 says something else. Never will the Jews or Christians be pleased with you. Well, I mean, it's the opposite. until you follow their faith. Because they told him no. He was like, oh, they will never be pleased with me until I follow their faith. Say Allah's guidance is the only true guidance. And this is one of them. In Surah 5, O you who believed, do not take the Jews or Christians as allies, as friends. Do not take them as friends. And actually in Morocco, we always talked about Christians as Nasara. And if we want to insult somebody, if a mother is really mad at her kid, she will be, come here, you Nasrani, or you Jew, you Yehudi. So if she says to a kid, Yehudi, means like that's the worst insult he can get on his life. If she says, or somebody is doing something, you get mad at him, he will be like, what? You think I'm Nasrani? Do you think I'm Christian or I'm a Jew? So, and if we make jokes about Jews, we used to say, hashak. It means like, it's not really appropriate. There was a Jew, and so we have to start with something that asking to be, excuse my language. Mm-hmm. And that comes from this, from these verses, how Muhammad looked at Christians and Jews and became part of the culture.
And the transition that we see is, again, first it's, from the Islamic perspective, it's Muslims, Jews, and Christians against the polytheists.
Yes.
Then he started having problems with it because he was around more Jews when he went to Medina. There were three Jewish tribes there. And he still seemed to think that the Christians were going to eventually side with him. So we have, I'll just read Surah 5, verse 82, which is in that transitional period where he still seemed to think that the Christians were going to confirm him. But it says, Surah 5, verse 82, strongest among men in enmity to the believers wilt thou find the Jews and pagans, and nearest among them in love to the believers wilt thou find those who say, we are Christians. So here it's pagans and polytheists, pagans and Jews united against Christians and Muslims. Like Muslims and Christians are going to be on the same side against the Jews and the polytheists, and that doesn't last either.
Actually, in the verse, when he continues later on, he says, those who cry when
cry when we hear the Quran revelations.
It means like they are sympathizing with him. He found some people who are sympathizing with him. He only praised those ones, actually.
Yeah. And so, but what's interesting, you can imagine why people would do that, right? If they're surrounded in a polytheistic culture, and then someone comes along and he's praising Jesus and Mary.
And talking about God and nature, how God created heaven and earth.
Yeah, and you'd say, oh my goodness, it's so great that someone down here is saying this. Finally. And suddenly, Christians, Christians are united with us in love, and that didn't last very long.
In Surah Al-Bayyinah 98:6, he calls Christians and Jews as the worst of creatures. In Surah 9:30, 9 is like the last chapter that was supposedly revealed to Muhammad. They say, the Jews say, Ezra is the son of Allah. We will talk about it later, probably. And the Christians say, the Messiah is the son of Allah. And he continues to say at the end, may Allah destroy them. This is in the Quran. And Muhammad saying that Allah himself is wishing to destroy Christians and Jews.
And that verse conveniently comes right after 9:29.
Yes.
Where
Can
Allah
you read
commands,
that one?
Yeah,
I want to comment about it.
Yeah, Surah 9, verse 29, Allah commands his followers, fight those who do not believe in Allah, nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden which hath been forbidden by Allah and his messenger, nor acknowledge the religion of truth. And it says, from among the people of the book. So it's talking specifically Jews and Christians, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. So
based on this 929, Christians and Jews had two choices. Either to pay money so they can stay as Christians and Jews, or convert to Islam. The third option is not an option, it's just to kill you. Mm-hmm. Based on that, my own people got destroyed in history. I'm from a Berber bloodline. Berbers were Christians in majority.
Wasn't Augustine?
Augustine was Berber. Tertullian was Berber, Saint Tertullian, Saint Augustine, Saint Polycarp was, the Church of Carthage, which is Tunisia, was the main church in North Africa. It covers Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, all that place. Berbers were strong Christians. There were 70 bishops when they gathered for 70 bishops in North Africa, in Morocco and Algeria and Tunisia. When Islam came in the 7th century, wiped them out. Took their kids as captives to the caliph, took their daughters as captives based on 929. In Egypt, the same thing. In Libya, they didn't have money to pay jizya. He said, sell the Muslim invaders, they say, sell your kids and pay jizya so you can stay Christian. This is what happened in history. So this verse, Muslims say, it abrogates each peaceful verse before it, because it's in chapter 9, the last chapter revealed to Muhammad. This verse killed millions of people, took many girls. In Morocco alone, in history, it's written, 120,000 girls were sent to the caliph, Berber girls and boys. 120,000. That's according to Muslim sources, not according to me. So talk about peace in the Quran.
So putting all of that together, it is very common for Muslims who are doing dawah, that's like their version of evangelism, to go to passages in the Quran that are where we have some common ground about Jesus, or verses that are saying something early on in Muhammad's career when he had a more favorable view of Christians, and say, see, this is what Islam teaches. Don't forget that the final marching orders of the Quran are to violently subjugate Christians and Jews whenever possible. And so when you have revelations coming from a person whose views are constantly changing, need to see what the ultimate takeaway message is.